Comix Watch. Comix Watch. Comix Watch.
Now I am become death.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Comix Watch, where we talk about comics, more comics, and nothing but comics. And joining me is the lord of all comic creation. We have Jared from Comics League. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very good. I got this little beauty in the mail. This is the BVS McFarlane Wonder Woman.
Ooh, that looks pretty.
Finally, I have a Snyderverse McFarlane Wonder Woman.
Yes! You know, it's funny, he keeps making those toys. Like, I don't know if you saw the recent announcement.
About what?
More Snyderverse toys coming from McFarlane.
Oh, sure. I'm sure. I mean, there's plenty of other characters that he could do, like Zod and Feora and Martian Manhunter.
It's almost like people keep buying them. So Todd, being the savvy businessman, he's like, the segment of toys they're really selling. Whenever I do a Snyderverse toy, they sell. It would be really smart business sense to keep doing that.
Yeah, I know, right? It's almost like investing in something actually pays off.
I know, right? You know, Jared. I had dinner recently. I had some pizza, and that got me thinking. You know, I've been wanting to read some comics in a half shell.
Yep. So, TMNT. So, Nick, do you want to give the audience a little background on the Turtles?
All right, for the two people who have no idea what the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are, they are a comic series by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. They started in the 80s, and by the late 80s, they had a very famous cartoon series that ran for 10 years. They had a lot of video games in the 90s, and they've been going strong one iteration after another ever since then. I know a lot of people like the 2000s cartoon series, and Nickelodeon has had a couple of them. But Turtles is a series that is actually still relevant today, which honestly is astounding. Like I gotta say, like this is a comic series you never would expect it to be like one of the most evergreen brands ever.
Yeah, exactly. And what's kind of interesting is that when you, I was watching a documentary the other day about like the history of the Turtles, probably in preparation for this, and it's like, yeah, people say Batmania, Turtle Mania was a thing.
Yeah, and while I do believe the only reason the 1990 Turtles movie got made was probably because of the Batman movie or something.
Mm-hmm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in a half shell, Turtle
Power.
But we're going back to the source. We are going back to the past to read the great comics that kicked ass.
By the way, so it's kind of funny. So I have the color edition, and when I was reading this, since they all have the red bandana, I was like, okay, who is talking? Oh yeah, size. Okay, you have to pay a very close attention to what each person's wielding.
Yep, and then let's get into. So Jared, all right, Jared has the comics up here, and yeah, we're gonna be talking about this today, and I'm pretty excited. I've been wanting to do Turtles for a while. I've had this thing for forever. And Jared, what were kind of your initial first impressions when you started reading this?
Like, I can see a lot of the Daredevil inspiration, and in terms of, it's not like confirmed, and it's not part of the Marvel universe, but they basically say what happened to Daredevil led to the Turtles.
I mean, it's pretty explicit. You know, it's pretty explicit that they connected the Daredevil. Like, so for those who don't know Daredevil's origin, young Matt Murdock saved an old guy. He pushed him out of the way, and a bunch of chemicals spilled on his eyes, blinding him and giving him superpowers. Turtles is not a Marvel comic, but what they do is they heavily implied that the same chemicals that gave Daredevil his powers is also what mutated, is also the ooze.
Yes, because what happened is that, so here's the way Splinter explains it. So there was a blind man that was going to walk in front of a truck. So at the last moment, a young man leapt at the blind man and knocked him out of the truck's way. As the truck screeched to a jarring stop, a metal canister bounced out of the back of the truck and struck the young man near his eyes.
It's about as explicit as you can get without outright saying it.
Because that's pretty much the Daredevil origin, at least how he got, like, blinded.
Yeah, and then there's also the fact that, like, Daredevil fights the hand, and the Turtles fight the foot.
Is there a head? I had to.
Is there, like, an all-female version called the Boob?
Yeah, so I really dug this going into it, and you definitely feel like the foundation of the Turtles in this. And first thing I noticed is, so the interesting thing about it being a black and white, and the way they explained it is that they did black and white because it was cheaper. They were like, we didn't want to pay for colors. That's it.
And if you're an indie creator, that axiom still rings true.
Mm-hmm.
They are not in the same universe. Not officially, anyway. Oh my! I really want a TMNT Daredevil crossover so bad. Like,
it's one of those things where if you want it to be your headcanon, there's enough evidence for that.
Yeah,
But it's not official
100%.
canon.
100%.
Yeah. So essentially, so as we continue with the book, so we have Michelangelo, Donatello, Leonardo. Sorry, I'm sick. Michelangelo, Leonardo, Donatello, and Raphael. And they just take out some street toughs. And apparently ninjas beat guns.
Who knew? One thing
right.
I find interesting is the first two issues are very standalone.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the fact that, like, they fight and defeat their arch nemesis in the first issue is kind of wild.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? That was the part where I was like, well, that's different. Because, again, you would expect... Because, again, coming at this from, like, my, like, knowledge as a comic book fan, it was essentially like, all right, so I'm reading this. And I'm like, okay, so he's going to be here for, like, the next, I don't know, 5... I expected 5 issues. Nope, 1. And I'm like...
Yeah, because the book was really setting up, like, all right, you have a quest to defeat Shredder, to avenge my master. Oh, he's dead.
All right, everybody, literally, all right, everybody, chill. So,
and the other thing that really surprised me when we get to the second issue is the origin for April as Baxter Stockman's assistant is really crazy. I thought, like, oh, maybe she's, like, undercover, but also April's a hacker on this one. She's a computer whiz.
You could essentially say, at the moment, she is a better version of Lois Lane, which isn't that hard for a character to be a better version of Lois. For those that somehow don't know, I loathe Lois Lane.
So you're saying of the Lois clones, Lois is the Homelander of Lois clones.
In the multiverse, yes, she is. She is definitely the.
You get my joke?
Yeah, Lois Lander. Hey, what's
and then
up,
Tevia's like hack the planet and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So the art is largely, it holds up, but it is a bit of its time. Plus, you can tell, yeah, it is very much an indie comic.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, okay, but I don't know. It has a little bit of gritty charm to it, I think.
Yeah, and like most a lot of comics, they're afraid of backgrounds.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, exactly. A lot of indie backgrounds. I think, did they put them in the? Yeah, they didn't even put it in the color edition. It's essentially just colored boxes.
All right, let me full screen you. Maximize. I don't know. The colors actually look pretty good on that version. I'll say that.
Yeah, exactly. And so the turtles just retreat into the sewer, and then I like they retreat in the sewer, and it's just a regular New York street. And
like I will say, while the art can be crude in some places, the detail work is actually pretty good. Like those can you imagine how long it took to draw that page, Jared?
Yeah, I know. Particularly all the buildings, all the details. It's kind of funny. McFarlane once had an interaction with Rob Liefeld, and then Rob was talking about like how long it takes him to draw a page, and McFarlane's like, when you're trying to figure out the hand, the thumb, I'm drawing an extra window pane.
See, unlike Rob Liefeld, Todd can actually draw feet. He just chooses not to.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference. We you don't have feet in your art because you can't draw them. I don't have feet in my art because I don't feel like drawing it. We are not the same.
Yeah, exactly. And then they meet Splinter, and Splinter basically tells them the full story about how Splinter was like the rat of a like kung fu master. Yeah, I think they were still in New York. What's up, Cajun?
Oh God, I wish I still had a pet rat. I would so have like my pet rat on the shoulder for this review. It would have been so great, but you know they passed away. But
this is so comic book how the rat is somehow able to comprehend kung fu moves.
Oh yeah, like they actually kind of did a good job of this in the original movie. Like they had like a puppet rat do it. Also, the thing that I love about this is they acknowledge that Yoshi himself noticed the rat was doing this and found it endearing. That's just like a little small detail. Like this rat is learning kung fu. Aww.
So Splinter goes, I know kung fu.
He knows rat fu. Also, Geno Kenobi.
Yeah. So again, it's like I would say, how the hell is a rat doing kung fu moves? But we're dealing with a universe where Ooze turns turtles into mutants. So I'm like, all right, fine. And he's telling the full story to all of them about how the rival clan of ninjas killed the woman, and it started this blood feud.
It's a pretty standard setup, but I think they execute it pretty well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's the same plot from like any ninja movie, but you know what? Yeah, it's fine with me because it works for what it's trying to do and set up, particularly knowing what I know about the Turtles later.
Yeah, I agree. Simple. It's a simple plot, but it's executed very well, and
they kind of
play. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, Jared.
They kind of play off this in Last Ronin.
Yeah, like the whole revenge.
Yeah.
So you're saying they pulled The Last of Us too?
Except it's actually a good story. Just saying.
Yeah, another thing that surprised me about the Shredder design is this Shredder is a lot slimmer. Like it looks more like a guy in ninja armor rather than like the towering final boss they always have Shredder be in every other.
Or the dude that probably can't go through doorways.
Yeah, because it seems like every other Shredder incarnation is like he's 7 feet tall. He's got biceps the size of tires.
In Ninja Turtles 3, he's like a giant like Hulk. He's essentially Bane.
Oh God.
Remember that? That was fun. Go Ninja, go.
I still love how in Batman vs. Turtles, Batman still like beat the Shredder fairly easily.
Because he's Batman. Is that a surprise?
No. I mean, Shredder gave him some trouble, as he should. But it's still like, yeah, Batman.
It's Batman. So it turns out the Shredder killed Splinter's master. So
my name is Splinter. You killed my master. Prepare to die.
Yeah, and so this is where we get the origin, where Splinter is watching this. Daredevil saves this guy from being killed, gets blinded, and then this kid just happens to have a fishbowl full of turtles that conveniently placed near it, and the bowl like crashed, and then the turtles were exposed to toxic ooze.
You know, if I was ever making a Daredevil live action show or movie and I was doing this scene, I actually like in the scene I would put some turtles off to the side, you know, just not like they wouldn't grow into mutant turtles, but just like say, hey, I know what you're like, just kind of like as a nod.
Or someone in a Ninja Turtle shirt.
No. Young Matt Murdock is wearing a Ninja Turtle shirt as he gets into the accident.
Yeah, exactly. And some of the ooze gets on the shirt to symbolize how the ooze are on the turtles. Disney, hire us. So, and then he tells the story, and apparently Splinter also got exposed, and that's why they like grew, and they were able to copy the movements of Splinter.
I'm just gonna say,
mm-hmm.
Those baby turtle heads are not the best.
Yeah. They look like baby dinosaurs, honestly. Oh yeah, wasn't that the way it was in the movie?
I think so, yeah.
And they're named after the Renaissance painters. I will say, you know what I love about the Michael Bay movie? Where April O'Neil comes in and is like explaining the thing, where she's like, they're teenagers and they're named after Renaissance painters. And essentially, by the way, another witness protection program, Helen from Drake and Josh, is in that movie. And she goes, and she basically fires her for being crazy.
Oh, I think there's like isn't there like don't they actually say something like that? Like, would you tell them we encounter turtles? No, they fire us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I think there's actually like they actually say that in the comics here or something.
There might be a line. We'll see if we can find it. But so everyone is so the other thing I really like about this art is like, yeah, it's simple, but it still communicates motion and shadow really well. Like how you see, I think this is Raphael. I can't tell because he's not carrying his weapons.
Yeah, the lighting, their attention to lighting. Like, look at like them leaping through. I love like the posing. Go down.
Raphael,
it's
Raphael.
Oh, sorry. Where he's like leaping through. You got like that. It looks really good. And then when he's leaping down, where the light is actually like heading above him, you can tell they're really good with their light sources, and I do appreciate that.
Yeah, because that's a big thing in this. But the other thing I kind of dig, the turtles actually kill people in this. Because here's the thing. Here's the part about modern turtles incarnations that doesn't make sense. If the turtles aren't supposed to kill, why did you give 3 of them two of them, bladed weapons?
It's even bad. It's even worse in like Ninja Turtles 2, where all they do is like hand-to-hand combat. So you got like Leonardo, and he's doing hand-to-hand combat, yet he has his katanas on his backs at that very moment.
I'm like, just take him out. But they're like, no, you must not kill. I'm like, why did you give him a katana if he can't use it?
I will say, like, really the only weapon I can't defend is the katana, because like the sais are more of a defensive weapon anyway. Yeah. So like you can make a case for that. But I could like katanas are a strictly like honestly, if you wanted to do like a more defensive weapons, I would have given Leonardo sword breakers. You know, kind of like Jet had in Avatar.
Yeah, I would say so. But I think the way they explained it in the comics, or like in like an adaptation, I remember hearing this. This is what Splinter told Leonardo, that it's supposed to teach him control because he has the capacity to kill with the katanas. But I'm like, why would you? If your whole premise is they're not supposed to kill people, why would you put them in the positions to not kill people? I know it's the studio, Tevia. I know that, but I'm saying in universe, it doesn't make sense.
Actually, I think each katana was given to each one for a purpose. Like like Raphael, the one with the sais, he's very aggressive. So the sais force him to be more defensive. You know, like stuff like that. There's kind of a reason for it. I can't remember the exact ones, but I know each weapon, there's a reason each person has their weapon.
And I gotta say, the more that I see Raphael swinging his sais, you know, it keeps playing through my head. Evanescence, Bring Me to Life. Yeah, and interestingly enough, that was in a Daredevil movie.
By the way, God, a Raphael versus Elektra fight. Oh my God,
that was the first time I've ever heard that song, by the way.
It's a good song.
It's a good song. But, so I love this. He goes, "You, who are you? Ninja Turtle."
Yeah, that was I like that too when I saw that.
Yeah, the writing is really good in this, and it's again, it's one of those things where yeah, it's simple, but it's kind of. I love how Raph's whole thing is he just throws the sign in there as like, yeah, so we're gonna challenge you to lethal mano-a-mano combat. Let's go.
He challenged him to Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat. Has Shredder ever been a character in Mortal Kombat?
I think the Turtles were a character in Injustice.
Injustice 2, yeah, that is correct. And what's cool is that you can change their weapons, and depending on the weapons you pick, it'll change your turtle.
Mike, you are correct, sir. I am.
Wouldn't Spawn be more successful?
I'm not sure I would classify Spawn as an indie comic.
That is true.
Because to me, there's a main two. Then you have your second party comics like Dark Horse is not indie, you know, like you would classify a Dark Horse comic. Like Hellboy is not really an indie character. Spawn and Image I would put in the same league as Dark Horse. Because you have the top industry talents working on the comics.
So essentially indie is like essentially just like not associated with a large corporation. It's just essentially you me if we did a comic.
I mean, there's kind of levels within indie.
Tavia, we just said the Image people. It doesn't technically count. We literally just said that.
Yeah, oh no! How many Spawn movies? There were 3 seasons of the HBO. There was a Spawn movie. There's been multiple Spawn video games. I'm sorry. When you get a video game on a major platform, it's hard for me to call you indie.
That's true. But then again, this exploded, so you could say this wasn't that indie.
It started out indie. That's the point, though.
Okay, I can kind of see where you're going. Hey, what's up, Black Reaper?
Yeah, hey, Black Reaper. And I would argue Spawn was never indie. Spawn was never an indie character. Now, as far as Savage Dragon, I would say he became an indie character. Like, the fact that Eric Larson, I don't like him as a person, but the fact that he never stopped doing Savage Dragon, that persistence,
it's still under Image, though, so that's why I'm like,
But then there's also, like, do you classify The Walking Dead as indie? That was Image.
I love
that also has a lot of the spirit of indie, at least.
I love the story about how Robert Kirkman pitched it to... So you want me to tell that story?
Go ahead.
So now here's what I have to say real quick to start this. Zombie comics were kind of there was zombie media going out for like a lot. Now, Kirkman really wanted to write for Image. So what he did is he pitched this idea for The Walking Dead. But I forget who it was. It wasn't Larson at the time that was that. But the person he pitched to said, well, it's zombie book. There's like 8,000 zombie books and stuff. So if you could find a way to make this unique, that's fine. So Kirkman goes, I didn't tell you the big plot twist is that it's actually a prequel to an alien invasion, and I'm gonna be putting like hints of it throughout the initial run of the books. So Larson is like, okay, it wasn't Larson. So the person who approves it was like, okay, fine, that looks interesting. So later on, when the books keep coming out, he's like, Kirkman, I'm not seeing any of the alien stuff. He goes, oh, I just told you that just so you would publish the comic. And it was popular enough that they couldn't fire him.
Yeah, that's kind of linchpin. If it wasn't wildly successful, he would have gotten fired very easily.
Yeah.
And yes, I would classify the Rippaverse as indie.
Yeah, because he formed it. When you form your own company to do comics, I would still count that as indie. In other words, it was Jim Valentino. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
but that is such a great story. I love that. I love the story of Image Comics. It's so funny.
Yeah, and the thing about Walking Dead is it helped usher in Image's second phase. Because by the late 90s, almost all of the original talent had either left, like Todd McFarlane was kind of still doing Spawn, but Spawn was in a weird place in the early 2000s. Image really, Walking Dead really helped usher in the second renaissance of Image. Because in the 2000s, Image was really a powerhouse in the 2000s simply because they were publishing a lot of new books, like a lot of new ideas.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of funny when Eric Larson was throwing a fit saying that like Valentino didn't bring in like any like big IPs to Image. I'm like, Walking Dead and Invincible would like to speak to you, kind sir.
The fact, like I would say Robert Kirkman is responsible. Like if without bringing Robert Kirkman and his stuff, Image might not be around today if it wasn't for his stuff coming in and breathing new life in the business.
And credit to the Image founders is that what they did is that they recognized how valuable Kirkman is, so they made him a partner of the company.
Yeah, like they pretty much kind of gave him the same sweetheart deal that DC gave Jim Lee. He's like, okay, you can create your own label, do whatever you want with that label. You're still under Image. It's still ultimately under the Image umbrella, but do whatever you want. Here, like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we should do an episode on Image comics on your channel and my channel. But anyway, so
yeah,
they have the challenge. That's like, Shredder, come and we're gonna murder you. And Shredder shows, so the Turtles show up to fight Shredder. And by the way, this is very similar to the Michael Bay movie in that when they fight Shredder, at first they get their ass kicked until they decide to coordinate and actually fight like as one. Well, first off, Shredder does not come alone. He comes with a bunch of ninjas, so they have
cheater,
and they still fight them and kill them. Again, I love how Donnie like hits one behind him with a bow staff, and then you see blood there, and I'm like, oh god.
Well, here's the other thing. In the you've seen the original 1990 movie, right?
Yeah, I have, of course.
In the final fight with Shredder, what's really it's like a rooftop fight with Shredder, but there's a line where he says, "You fools! If you had all come in at once, you would have been able to overpower me," which is exactly what happens here.
Yeah,
like, they like that's acknowledging the comics.
Yeah, so so at first they start going like one at a time, and they get their asses kicked. They decide to rally up and fight the Shredder as one, and he goes, "Curse you!" They knock off his helmet. They kick him off a roof.
They stab him.
He falls down, and I think he like detonates a grenade or something like that, and then he just dies.
What I also love is you don't see the body.
So it's like, yeah, they could bring him back if they ever wanted to, because I think at this point, Superman had died and come back to life, so death means absolutely nothing.
This was about 10 years before that.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah, this is like 82, 83. You got to remember that.
Yeah, okay, so let me go to issue 2. Okay, so let me put it on for all pages.
And I love these covers. I love these covers.
They're simple, but they're really effective and cool.
Mm-hmm. And this is where, this is another standalone. It's really not till issue 3 that they start like doing issue-to-issue stories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Wait, that's how they got rid of Shredder in the 03 cartoon? They chopped off his head?
Talk about using your head.
Mm-hmm. And he'll never be the head of a major ninja corporation anymore.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah, so we meet Baxter Stockman and April O'Neil.
And so Jared, speaking of Mausers.
What?
It was a reference to what I was watching before when you came in.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Also, hey Keely.
What's up?
Also, I just gotta say, whenever I see those Mausers, the first thing that comes in my head is, "Ow, my toe! Ow, my toe!" Like those things were such a freaking menace in Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. Oh my god, they are annoying.
You know what's funny? I had a toy of those, like a really small toy, because I used to collect the Turtles action figures. So one of them came with it. I had the ones that transformed from regular Turtles into like the Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
and they actually came with ooze.
I remember those. I think I had a couple of those as a kid.
Those are fun. I also had a Shredder that transforms from a ninja guy into Shredder.
So you're saying he gets shredded?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, so based on this, so it's more about like so Stockman's kind of like the Lex Luthor of the Ninja Turtles, and I wonder if that's where they were drawing inspiration from, where he has like these plans that could better humanity, but he's really just trying to screw everyone over.
Yeah, modern interpretations of Stockman, they make him more of a lackey in a lot of the stuff. Like they make him more like silly, like a dumb smart guy kind of trope, if you will. I'm just gonna say this: Tyler Perry was. I think he. I don't like the interpretation, but Tyler Perry played that interpretation very well. Like it's not his fault that was the interpretation. But I think the way I'm sorry. Do you know what I'm trying to say, Jared?
Yeah, it's like it was more of it wasn't the actor, it was the content that the actor was supposed to act with.
But he took the direction, and I think he did a good enough job. I liked his character, but the characterization I wasn't a fan of. I'm sorry, I'm messing up.
By the way, I am I will argue forever that those that those Michael Bay Turtles movies, at least the first one, is supremely underrated.
I mean, if they had included the deleted scene in Turtles 2, it would have been the best movie ever.
What was the deleted scene?
It's where April O'Neil meets the head of the network, played by the original April O'Neil.
Oh, okay.
And there's a line where she says, "Oh, we're practically the same person." I know what I'm showing you after we're done here.
But so then so then we see Stockman has like an army of these mouse droids, and it turns out so he only had enough funding for like I think she said like 24, but he was using them to rob banks so he could make an army of them to hold the city hostage.
Baxter's like, I have an army. It was like,
I have a Hulk.
I
have 4 turtles.
Yes, that was going to be my joke before you took all the wind out of it.
And by the way, Tevye, the reason why we didn't get that is because probably when they were looking at the movie and they had to shorten it, because it's a fun deleted scene, but it doesn't really add anything to the plot.
See, the problem is oftentimes they like, okay, we need to hit this certain runtime, or we want to trim the film to be more streamlined. The first thing to go is always the character scenes. That is like always the first thing to go, and it always impacts movies. That's why you see films like Batman versus Superman or Daredevil 2003, where they put in
Justice League.
That too. I was trying to dance around it, but yes, we put no, not Justice League, because there's a lot more than just the character scenes in Justice League.
Okay, that makes sense.
But BVS and Daredevil especially, when you put all those back, it's like, holy crap, this movie makes a lot more sense now. Like,
yeah, you know, it's kind of funny. I didn't know there was a director's cut. So when I was watching the movie, because I know this because they set up the scene before the Evanescence song is different in the regular version. So when I was watching this, so I had watched Daredevil a couple of times, and I really liked it. I was like, why do people not like this movie? I didn't know I was watching the director's cut the whole time. So when I went back and rewatched it when we covered it for Comics League, and I saw the theatrical version, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why people don't like the regular version.
I mean, I'm just not gonna lie. I grew up with the theatrical version, and I only really saw the director's cut when it was time to do for Jared, and I liked the theatrical version. I grew up with it, but yeah, the director's cut is better.
By the way, Tevye, speaking of Watchmen, did you guys know that the ultimate cut of Watchmen is on Max right now?
Oh, really?
So what we may do, what I'm thinking of doing for Comics League, is doing a watch party for the ultimate cut of Watchmen. It's about 3 hours long, of course, because it's a Zack Snyder movie.
I think when we did Watchmen, I think I watched the Ultimate Edition, and you guys watched the regular version.
Oh, wow. Or it's like, wasn't there a time where you watched the wrong version of the movie?
Yeah, BVS. That is a BVS.
Yeah, you watched. You know what's kind of funny? I'm gonna tell this story. I went on Nerdette's stream, but I love Nerdette. She's a really cool person, but she's critiquing BVS, and I'm on the panel. I'm like, well, this happened. Then she goes, that should have been the movie. And I go, It was. And I go, okay, Tristan, what version of the movie did you watch? And she goes, theatrical. And I'm like, that explains it. That is why. So it's like, that's why I always watch the director's cuts first. And I hope to see the Ayer cut of Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I think the BVS situation was, I had only seen the Ultimate Edition of BVS. That was actually my first time watching it. And I got it from the library. The case said Ultimate Edition. And I was watching it. I was like, wait, there's some scenes missing. Like, I knew there were scenes missing because I'd watched the actual version before. And I looked at the disc, it was just a regular edition. I was like, oh, because I was like, now I see why people didn't like this version.
Yeah, because it leaves out so much. By the way, so it's the standard plot. I'm going to like destroy the entire city. So she runs into the sewer, and then she gets picked up by the turtle. Actually, Stockman sends a few of those mousers after her. She's cornered, and then the turtles show up and save her, and then she just faints because she's seeing mutant turtles.
Yeah. No, as far as like the turtles showing up, it does feel a little convenient, but like my thing is they probably heard some sort of disturbance, and then they came to investigate. That's my headcanon.
Yeah, because they were probably like scouting, or like they're always in the sewers doing something. So they probably heard, oh, what's that robotic sound and girls screaming? Oh, okay, there you go.
Mm.
So then I love how they do this. So they go, Splinter's like, I'm gonna tell you this our origin story, and instead of like truncated, they're like, just read issue 1.
Yeah. You're reading issue 2, so we assume you've at least read issue 1.
And then we get to
and then Baxter Stockman's like, we are anonymous. We do, like whatever.
Yeah, no, he goes, for many years, your planet has taken one of my people's citizens. You must turn them over to me, or I'll burn the planet. You will kneel before Stockman.
I just want to say, okay, we're going on tangents a lot today, but that's fine. It's part of the course. I really like that scene because how freaking creepy it is. And my favorite part is at the end, the light bulb goes out, and Martha goes like, ah! And like it's kind of like a jump scare at the end. It's like
and I was going in every single language, and I'm like, yeah, because he wanted to treat it like it was like one of those scary alien invasion stories.
Yeah, it worked.
So then, so Stockman is basically showing, hey, I can use the mousers to like sink a building, and I think he does do that. And the turtles gear up and they go and fight Stockman, and I like how and now he's at sword point, and then they're like, and then she's like, April, you're still alive, and he goes, yeah, I had help.
and I just gotta say, I'm actually surprised Stockman asked for $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. So then we get to, let me continue on. Then we get, so essentially they're trying to figure out a way to shut down all the mousers and escape. And it's one of those occasions where like one of us has to stay behind and hold the line while we can hack the computer. So it's one of those like Last Stand like things.
Yeah,
yes, he is very insane.
And this is another one where they reveal like, oh, one of the turtles is a tech person.
Mm-hmm.
This does kind of come out of nowhere. I mean, anyone who's been a turtle fan for their whole lives knows that. Like, I think Leo is like the tech dude or something.
Wait. Did you say Leo is the tech dude?
Michelangelo?
Donnie is the tech dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Donnie is the computer guy. He was in the Michael Bay movie.
Oh yeah. Michelangelo is a party dude.
Yes, exactly. That was one of the most fun parts of that old animated movie where, like, Raphael becomes Batman, the Night Watcher. That was... And by Chris Evans, otherwise known as Captain America, played Casey Jones.
Wait, when is this? What is this?
They made a TMNT animated movie called TMNT, and
Oh yeah.
that's where they had Raph as Batman.
Did you know that they got Mako to voice Splinter, otherwise known as General Iroh?
Okay, that's cool that they got General Eero. Well, I'm just trying to use the proper cultural pronunciations.
How about I properly culturally kick your ass?
So they fight. So basically, what the series kind of is. But I love this page. The
She's not
splash.
She's not Black Reaper Kai. She's not.
No, she's not. That's what people.
And that is the end of the discussion. She is not.
Mm-hmm. So I love this double page spread of like all of the mouse joys like coming in a wave, and there's like Leo, Raph, and Michelangelo like holding the line while Donnie hacks the computers.
Okay, actually, I just want to say this real quick. Look at how they drew and colored Baxter Stockman, who is black in this comic, and they have April right next to him. Okay, yeah, kind of scroll up. If April was meant to be black, they would have colored her very differently. Like they would have, her face would have been colored differently if she was meant to be black. This is the original version. Look at how they did Baxter Stockman, who is black. She was intentionally made to be white.
I think that what they're talking about, and people bring that up, is that when they originally came up with the idea for the character, they originally wanted her to be black, but then they drew her white.
Yeah, well, they bring up like, the later version where she got a perm. That was to match one of their girlfriends. She was drawn like one of the girlfriends who was not black, by the way.
By the way, here's the colored version of that dope Last Stand page.
Okay. Sorry, just the whole debate kind of makes me...
That movie was still fun, though.
Yeah.
And then it's basically the thing of like, so I love this where Leo's like, turtles die with honor. Okay, thanks, bro.
All right, I'm just gonna say this page is like, this page you can tell they ran out of time.
Yeah, and yeah, because I love where they're like, turtles die with honor. Tick tick boom. Okay, we're good. Hey, I guess that worked. Just black background.
Yeah, although this splash is freaking amazing. I love it. It is
good the way they do the colors and the shadows in the darkness. Because here's the thing, I think it's really hard in a black and white book to like show stuff in darkness, and I think they pulled it off in this one.
Well, the thing is, how you draw darkness separates the good artists from the bad ones when it comes to black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's why black and white still has a point. Like that's why a lot of people. That's why you still see black and white photos, because black and white art, whether it be photography or comics, can show contrast in a way that color can never do.
Well, you know what's hilarious is that you know how they have the Justice is Gray edition of ZSJL.
Mm-hmm.
Some people have found details in that they didn't find in the colored version because the contrast is up on the black and white version. Like you can see Robin's suit in the Batcave in the Dark Side Nightmare sequence a little clearer.
Interesting.
You know, it's actually really cool. I may do a watch through on my 20th watch through of the Snyder Cut. I will do the Justice is Gray edition.
There's also if we're talking about like black and white versions. There's
Logan.
Also, there's Fury Road, black, white, and chrome.
That's
black
cool.
And chrome. Yeah, they did a black and white version of Fury Road too. I wish that trend had continued because that was kind of a cool trend that was going for a while.
Yeah, you need the right movie to pull that off, and I wish that they could go through and do like Batman versus Superman, Zack Snyder, Batman versus Superman, and Man of Steel in black and white because I think those would work really well.
I think a black and white version of Dune would be awesome.
Oh, I got one. How about a black and white version of Batman Begins or any Batman movie?
A black and white version of The Batman would be really interesting.
That would be really cool. So then we get to... Okay, so we're going to skip this and move to issue 3.
Actually, I'm just going to say this. A black and white version of the 1990 Turtles movie would be kind of interesting.
That would have been great if they had a black and white version.
I swear. Imagine a 4K restoration of that movie, and then that version is in black and white.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
Yeah, and Tevye, we just said we did Logan in black and white.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
So okay, so Turtles in April emerge, and I do like how. So I also like how they have this like the wall just opens, and then we get the plot point from the first movie where Splinter is taken. It's standing one, and then Raphael screams very creepily, and then like a passerby is like saying, "What the hell is coming out of that sewer?"
Yeah, I would say it's a third issue where the book really kind of comes into its own.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about comic creators, and it takes them until like issue 3 where they really find the rhythm of their book?
Well, because you gotta like establish the characters, establish the world, and then figure out, because when you get multiple issues of a book down, then I think you really start to like understand, okay, so these are how these characters would react.
Like, there's a reason I chose to wear my Turn Samurai t-shirt for this review.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through this because this is only issue 3, and we have to get to issue 7, hopefully, on this. But it's all pretty good. I like how April gets in a high-speed chase against the cops, and they're like, yeah, if that cop pulls him over and sees a mutant turtle with nunchucks, yeah, that's going to be kind of hard
the
to
also
explain.
thing is, this is the origins of the turtle van.
Oh, yeah!
As soon as I saw that it was a VW bus, like, oh, yep, this is where it goes. The origin.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And then they escape, and then and then also later on, I think it's in this issue, we get the setup for Casey Jones. I think.
All right.
But so they escape, and I like this. So the bug like pulls over, and what's kind of funny is like they move the turtles abandon the van, but I like how the cop goes, "Make my day, punks."
Well, the other thing is, I feel like this scene was a bit unnecessary because at the end it's like, oh, there's another van that matched the description. That's why they were chasing us. Like, so the whole scene was for nothing. It was just, oh, we need an action sequence. Let's do that.
I also like how the cop goes, "Do not ambulate." No cop is gonna.
The other moment is you see earlier where it's like the cop's like, "I'm gonna shoot out the tires," and the other guy's like, "What are you, stupid?"
Yeah, I'm like, if you start shooting out of your car and like your partner jerks to avoid someone, you're gonna shoot a bystander.
Yeah, like, oh god, like you could end up shooting someone's dog. We all know what happens.
We all know that would piss off Keanu Reeves massively.
John Wick is like 8 years old, but he sees someone's dog pass away. Like,
that will be my mission. That will be my mission.
Yeah.
And then we see Splinter like in the okay, so Splinter was sleeping, and then the mouse robots attack. So basically, it's like, however many, let's say an hour, 1 hour ago, and then it's basically showing Splinter having to abandon the cave and then getting captured. That's pretty much.
And again, this is another thing where it's like, oh, Splinter's not even captured; he's just missing. So it just feels like storytelling that exists to, like, oh, we need to do this, so let's just come up with any reason, you know.
Yeah, and then we see the Krang aliens, which are so creepy. Those like little brain things that exist inside someone's stomach.
Yeah, the fact that they're setting those up this early is actually kind of surprising.
Yeah, because that becomes a big like antagonist in the later series, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but again, this is what was confusing for me with the color version, because everyone's in red. So I'm like, what?
So the colored bandana didn't come along until the 89 cartoon, and I think everyone would agree that was probably a good idea.
Yeah, because with the cartoon, you're going after kids, and kids are not going to necessarily pay attention to like which one has the swords, which one has the size. They're going to be like, you need to give them clear indicator on who each turtle is.
Like, again, in black and white, you can't really do that. You have the weapons. But when you're in a color sphere, color coding, if you have 4 characters that largely look the same, I know they draw them with different facial features. I get that. But they look very, very similar. Giving them color-coded bandanas helps a lot for clarity.
Yeah, exactly. Because you saw how many times I mass-identified a turtle, and that's because, well, first off, even in this, I was mass-identifying in the colored version, because I'm like, they're all red. Because remember, I'm used to the turtles having the colored bandanas.
Yeah, because if they're not holding their weapons, you don't know who it is.
Yeah, it's like when Raph had his size in like the back area right here, and he was just flying. I was like, I had to scroll up. Which turtle is this? Oh yeah, it was Raphael.
Yeah, and what's even better is like not just the bandanas, but oftentimes they'll give them like a belt. I know in the cartoon they had like the belt with like their letter on it. You don't need to go that far for a lot of things. At least a bandana and maybe a belt with the same color, like that helps.
Yeah, exactly. So then, it's another fight with the ninjas, and again, they are just killing these ninjas, which is
also
hilarious.
Another thing. Look at the design of the Foot Clan. That's another thing where it's like they pretty much nailed the design of the Foot Clan right out of the gate with that one.
Yeah, because that's pretty much the way it's done, even in the animated movie.
Because if you look in issue 1, they kind of had like more of a generic ninja design. Now they actually have given them an actual design, more of a distinctive Foot Clan kind of design.
Yeah. More ninjas showed up, and I like how the turtles like jump off the roof, and then he's grabbing onto the clothesline like, oh god, that's not supposed to happen. And then he goes through the it's like one of those. This is a stereotypical Hollywood thing where like the couple's just watching TV. All of a sudden, the creature just comes through. Like I think they did this in Predator 2. That's a crossover. Comedy. That's a crossover. TMNT versus the Predator.
See, having all 4 turtles. See, I would probably do either Splinter. Well, no, I would have 1 turtle versus Predator.
Raphael. It's got to be Raph.
I want the most irresponsible one.
I don't want Michelangelo. He already got the Dark Knight Returns treatment.
Is he? Wasn't he the last Ronin?
He was the last Ronin. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So I mean, let Raph fight the Predator.
Actually, let's make it Donatello. Let's make it interesting.
Okay, I can go with that. We can go with that. I like, by the way, how the turtle, who is this? I don't know who this is, gets up and he's got like a bra on his head. And he goes, sorry. He goes, Mama, who was that green man?
Oh. I don't know exactly when Kiari shows up. I don't think she's this early, but if she does, we'll let you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't see her in the first 7 issues at least, so that's probably not there.
Yeah.
So basically, they're going to this building to save Splinter, and we also see like they're apparently hanging out at April's place, and they look kind of weird without the bandanas on.
Yeah, that's been a problem since like issue 1, and they still haven't really gotten that. But I think that panel, like, yeah, these are weird, but they're getting better.
Mm-hmm. And there's April looking all sexy.
Oh, yeah, and I think this is kind of like we're talking about the earlier debate, where like this is where she gets the perm.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, but her race doesn't change in between the issues and stuff.
Look at the panel. Oh god, that's so cheeky.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I love this. That's funny.
She's doing her best Ellen Ripley cosplay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to say, Ellen Ripley. Then they're being surveilled, and moving on. So they're going to try and find Splinter. That's pretty much the way that this goes. Even in the previous, like, even in the movie, not previous. I like how, like, a pigeon gun for the security camera. It's just one of the turtles holding a stuffed pigeon.
Oh god, they actually did this in the 2003 series. I actually remember when they're going to, like, I think it was break into the headquarters. They actually did exactly this, is like the pigeon in front of the camera. They did that, and oh my god, that's cool.
That's probably what that was a reference to. And they get in there. And then this was the part of the comic where I legit went when I was reading this. Okay. When they get into so you see Splinter in a tube. They fight Terminators. And then they get blasted. Hang on, I'm going to the end here. They get blasted.
So anyway, they just started blasting.
Yeah, and then they end up on an alien planet.
I mean, it's very clear Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were just doing whatever the frick they wanted.
I think at this point it was successful enough that they could afford to do that.
Yeah. And also the thing you got to realize is these early issues, there were like months, like 6 months, year-long breaks between some of these issues. You got to realize that.
Yeah, that's the advantage of like indie comics is like at least if you're communicating well with your audience and it does come out in a timely manner, I'm emphasizing that because some people on Twitter still haven't learned that lesson. You can take you're not on like a monthly schedule. In other words, it's like, no, this has to come out this month. No, not necessarily.
I mean, I'd like my comics to come out every month, but that's just not possible for me right now.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like, so essentially they're on like an alien version of New York. And I like how they didn't bother to necessarily draw the buildings too futuristic. They look like essentially Mos Eisley, but they're pretty much like the same like model.
So you're saying New York is a wretched hive of scum and villainy?
CNN is. I had to. Sorry. I had to. You set me up so well for that. Yeah, I love it. Like, this is definitely not Manhattan. They went just to the line of saying we're not in Kansas anymore.
Jared, so you're saying that you had to?
Mm-hmm.
Of course!
Ah, there you go. Thank you.
you knew. I was like, all right, he's about to lay clip. Anyway, continue, sir.
So they go through, they learn about like, so this dude is actually a scientist that he had this little servant robot that he was trying to save from like getting struck by lightning. And they both got struck together and their minds merged. Well, it wasn't like the minds merged, that it's like his brain went into the robot body.
Hey, Jared,
mm-hmm.
You know what happens to a human and a robot when they both get struck by lightning?
The same thing that happens to everything else.
They merge.
It's merging time.
Why?
Because I can.
Maybe you can't.
No, I can. So then we see these Triceratops like cops called shock commandos, and I'm like, Triceratops.
No, they are Triceratops.
Triceratops, Jesus. Yeah, this whole thing, I'm like,
you've seen Kung Fury, Jared.
No, I haven't. All of a sudden...
Yes, you have, actually. We watched it together on my Discord.
Oh, yeah, that movie. So anyway, I like this because when I'm watching this, you know what keeps playing in my head? Dun, 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 dun. That's pretty much that.
He doesn't like you. Jared, he doesn't like you.
I don't like you either.
I have the death sentence.
Look, it's IG-88.
Actually, yeah.
So Star Wars is in the Ninja Turtles universe.
I mean, Jared, did you see that one shot? I think it was like the second issue where they had like a bunch of books. Like I think one of the guys was reading Dune, and on the floor you could actually see a Star Wars comic.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Also, I have the death sentence on 12 systems.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like, they homage that in, like, every sci-fi thing. Like, there's a scene in Mass Effect 3 where they do the whole, my buddy doesn't like you alliance types. I don't like alliance types either.
This little one isn't worth your trouble. Let me buy you a drink.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and it's a big, like, action. Oh, the Turtles use guns!
The horror.
If only the people on Twitter that testify as comic book experts would read the books.
For those who say Batman doesn't use guns, allow me to present you Batman using guns.
And then they said, well, that's not canon. You never said canon. You just said Batman never uses guns. That's the difference.
It's an official DC comic. It's as canon as it can get.
And when DC says it doesn't matter, everything's canon, it is canon now. Ha ha! Suck it! I'm going to go my DC. I've used that a few times, and no one ever has an adequate response to that because you can't say anything to that.
Yeah, it's there have been official DC runs where Batman has used guns, and not alternate continuity, like mainline continuity. Even if it's not canon currently, it was mainline canon at some point, and not just
and
like,
then they'll say,
not just the original version. Like, oh, that was in 1938, doesn't count. No, this is 1998.
Or it's like when you bring because I had this debate in like the Dark Knight Returns, and I'm like, okay, so yeah, he crushes the gun, but he still uses it earlier. We can debate on whether or not he kills that mutant. I still think he does, but it's like he still used the guns. And if you say, well, but why would Batman say the guns are the tools of the enemy? Because here's why. Here's why I explained that heel turn. In the beginning of the story, Batman is more of the brutal Batman that would use an M60. When he almost snaps the Joker's neck, actually, no, when he does snap the Joker's neck, that was the switch goes off and he goes, oh my gosh, I have gone too far. Then he abandons the gun.
We can definitely have debates of should Batman use guns? Should Batman kill?
Yeah.
Like a opinion debate. But there is no debate on if he's ever used guns, if he's ever killed. Because the answer to both those questions is yes.
The Batmobile and Batwing count as using guns because they have cannons on them. My favorite are the people that say that like, I don't like when Batman uses guns. My favorite Batman is Michael Keaton. And then I'll go, but he uses guns. And they go, we complain about that all the time. I'm like, no, you don't.
By the way, that panel with Ralph is not drawn very well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not. You can tell that maybe they kind of rushed through that. It looked very like newspapery.
Yeah, that face. I honestly like that face. If I tried really hard, I could probably do that myself, and maybe have it be a little bit better. And I'm not an artist at all.
They essentially engage in a high-speed speeder chase. And then it basically turns into a full-on firefight against the Triceratops. And then they run through the woods. This is basically that Samurai Ninja Turtles movie. And they keep using guns and they kill people!
But yeah, I'm surprised they went to the future so early in the series. That actually surprises me.
Yeah, exactly. And then we move on to the next few issues.
They're in space!
Rangers in space. Oh, yeah, that was the season where I'm going through this because this was not.
That's the art looks great. I'll say that.
Nice. So, fun fact: you know that The Last Ronin is a story that they had an idea for at the very beginning of the series.
I do really appreciate that they actually brought in Kevin Eastman to draw like original panels in the original style. Like we got like new kind of stuff. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, he draws whenever you see like the flashbacks to what Mikey was doing during like the time skip and all that stuff.
And it's in this style. And it's in this like old
it's still like this. So I really like that. You see, here's the thing. Yes, this is simple art. I'm going to tell you that right now. But this is one of those occasions when the story is fun, where I'm like, I don't care if like there's like a panel that's like maybe not drawn the best. It still is real. It's a really fun read.
I would say, well, here's the thing. If you look at everything in isolation is okay, fine, but the sum total of everything added together makes for a very compelling package. Like, is the art best? No. Is the story best? No. But it's got, first off, the concept, Ninja Turtles, that alone kind of like grabs your attention. Mm-hmm. But like, it's the sum of its parts. It's fun, and it just works. It's it's a interesting idea, executed very well.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, let me put it this way. If the story or concept was crappy and you had the bad art, and well, not bad art, and you had the iffy art, then it would be another story. But this is one of those occasions. This is why I love comic books so much. You could have like a great story, but so-so art, and people love it. Or you could have like a bad story and so-so and amazing art, and people at least acknowledge the art, like in All-Star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder. We keep our masks on. It's better that way.
I would argue, and this is going to piss off a lot of artists, and I don't care. I love pissing off artists. You can have the best art ever, but if the writing is terrible, people are going to reject it. But you can have bad or okay art, but if you have amazing writing, people will stay.
That's why when you look at like what happened to Image Comics in the day, that's why I think it slightly started to like dip and people started to kind of check out because here's the thing, as much as I love those Image comic books like Spawn and Wildstorm and all that stuff and Savage Dragon, yeah, exactly, Nick. But when you have like all those books, they're written by artists, and artists typically aren't the best writers.
It happened to the Marvel books. It happened to like the Marvel books, and that's even after all the great artists left. You look at like the stuff in the early '90s.
Todd Spider-Man.
Yeah, X-Force, New Mutants, like a lot of like the books. DC is like what's really interesting is DC was actually like cranking out some really good stories in the early '90s. Mm-hmm. Remember Nightfall, Death of Superman? Like there was a lot of good content in the early '90s coming from DC. Like DC in the late '90s was doing good stuff, but their Batman stuff in the early '90s was great.
You know why? Because they didn't do the whole writer, artist, or also writers thing. That was a Marvel thing.
Yeah, like I've watched documentaries because like the Batman side of DC was run by the writers, even as back as like the late '80s. Like they had a whole cabal of writers. Chuck Dixon being one of them. Shout out to our boy.
Same thing with like Superman. They had a whole like. What happened is that so there was 4 Superman books, and I love how we're talking about Superman now. But there was like 4 Superman books, and they would meet every year to essentially go over what the idea for the books were for what the main storyline. They got to like get the Superman because that's like because like they kept proposing that as a joke. They were like, okay, so this happens, and then he's killed. But they lost like their story that they were gonna do, so they had to push like the wedding, and they were like, okay, let's just kill him here. Yeah, it's and that's also where like Superman Electric Blue came in, which by the way is not as bad in the beginning. It's where it gets to the end that it gets like, oh, shut up.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite Superman outfits is the Return of Superman, the black suit with the mullet. I just think that suit is so clean. I love like how it has like this, like the black and silver go really well together, like the bracers and even the rocket boots. Like, and I've told you one of my favorite panels is just like a Boy Scout. I come prepared, and Superman with all those guns.
Hang on, and you're telling me Superman does not use guns?
Oh my god, that is like one of my favorite panels in all of comics.
Yeah, hang on, I'm gonna pull it up. Because I have the trade.
Just like the idea of Superman holding like a bunch of guns, and the line, just like a Boy Scout, I come prepared. I love it. And then and Superboy goes slamming.
Sorry, I hear what he said.
Sorry, I had to stifle in my mouth because a curse word is coming out, and it would not take no for an answer.
Slamming.
No, I've already got my laugh out.
Where is? Because I know where the panel is. Okay, hang on.
All right. Well, there it's.
Oh, here he is. Here it is.
All right. Let me just maximize you for a second.
Hang on.
Oh God, I love that.
Oh man, my camera's blurry. God damn it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's been a good stream, brother. We're doing great. Okay.
All right. Jeez. So again, it's more space stuff, but again, it's like it's fun stuff. But yeah, I did like that. And then there is Superboy Prime going slamming. I just love
We're gonna finish out this issue, and then we're gonna like go to a general thoughts and discussion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have like all the scientists, all the Tricera scientists, just chilling.
Triceratops.
Triceratops. There you go. Saber-tooth tigerist.
Damn you.
I had to, Nick. I had to.
I know. But yeah, it's like I like the detail on the space stuff is really good.
This is another homage to Frank Miller, where Frank always has like the news media as part of the story, where like some people talk. Frank does this, and Todd does this as well.
Oh, okay. I gotta say, this might be where Todd got the idea for how he does the newsman exposition scenes, like the famous like talk. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
think this might be where Todd, because this looks like a very similar to what Todd would do in 10 years.
Yeah, know? Exactly. And then it's in a sports stadium, and apparently, okay, so basically, they're gonna have the Turtles fighting Gladiator.
Disc Wars.
Yeah,
action is really good. Also, that Triceratops. I'm trying to think of the name.
Triceratops.
Tricerator.
I would love if that dude turns around and goes, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius." He does the whole Gladiator line.
Oh god. Okay, I need to do Gladiator on Friday Night Feature at some point.
I'm in.
Of course you are. But yeah, like the detail's nice, the action's nice.
And the Turtles hold someone at gunpoint. Yeah, real superheroes, guys. And then they just light this dude up.
Burn it up.
Oh my! No, I think that line was "fire it up," and it was equally annoying. That was the worst. That was the part that annoyed me the most about the original Crow movie. I was so glad when those guys died, because I'm like, okay, no more of the stupid "fire it up" line.
All right, so we're gonna give our final thoughts, and then we're gonna kind of do a general discussion for like 20 minutes or so. So Jared, what is your final thoughts on the comic, and what rating would you give it?
Final thoughts. The story's good. The art's, yeah, it's simplistic, but it's actually really, it fits what they're going for. I like how you can clearly tell where there's blood in the black and white version. Obviously, in this, I can tell where there's blood. And honestly, in terms of how I rate it, solid 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I would give it a 9 out of 10 as well. I think it's a very solid book. It's definitely like a sum of its parts kind of thing. There are a few like iffy drawing moments. The story is simple. The character, like April O'Neil in those first few issues, her look like varies drastically between.
Yeah, I'm like, are these the same person? Did you guys have a model sheet? Probably not.
I think by the time they gave her the perm, they probably settled on the look for the character. But
yeah.
early, I mean, I'm a person who myself, like, I'm not gonna lie, Turtles was a good inspiration for me. Like, there's a reason why I'm wearing Turn Samurai.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel a lot of kinship with this, because just like me, I did a black and white comic with an interesting concept, and also it was very much a figure it out as you go along kind of thing.
Isn't that the best? I kind of have that with Athena, so I'm just going to say that right there.
Oh, and you're just on your first issue, so you got more to go, buddy.
Yep, there you go. First to 12.
So definitely 9, and I can see why this caught on, why I can see why this was iconic. The other thing we didn't mention is Turtles came. We also need to pay attention to what was the environment that a piece of art came into, and Turtles came into a comic environment. Like the early 80s was a very hot time for independent comics. Not only that, but funny animal books were huge.
Okay.
In the early 80s.
Both of those combined.
Yeah, like for example, one of the reasons why MMPR took off like it did was because of dinosaurs and Jurassic Park.
You
know, so it's like it's the environment a thing comes into.
It's kind of like how Spawn and everything blew up, but there's a reason why the environment also plays into why Image blew up the way it did.
It's the same reason why like certain types of media took off during COVID, like Animal Crossing. was for Nintendo systems was always an okay franchise.
Nerd.
But then Animal Crossing comes out right as COVID is starting to hit, and the Switch is the only console that you can get at the time. All of a sudden, Animal Crossing sells 20 million copies.
Or it's like in the 1930s when everyone's depressed because of the Great Depression and everything like that. Then all of a sudden, Superman shows up.
Or just movies in general.
Mm-hmm.
Were big in the 30s because they were cheap entertainment. And you could go and forget for a few hours, or oftentimes all day. So that's always very important. So we're gonna do just a general kind of comic discussion topic. So if anyone in the chat has any comic-related questions, also if you made it that far, please give us a like. And for those watching this after the stream is over, what are your guys' thoughts on the Turtles? But we'll do that when we're wrapping up. But yeah, tell us any comic-related questions. Anything tangentially related to comics is fine as well. Sure. Is there anything you'd like to ask me?
It seems a lot when I was reading this that I could see the inspirations for particularly 2100 Samurai from this. Was that intentional?
Definitely. Torn Samurai was kind of meant to be like an East meets West, like American comics meet manga. And I will say at conventions, depending on who the person I'm talking to, I'll either pitch it using the manga angle, or if sometimes I have an older kind of person come up, I'll pitch it using Turtles. It really depends. I profile.
Okay, well, you kind of have to if you're selling me, because you're like, okay, depending on who comes and who shows up to your table, it could depend about if you pitch Screecher or 2100 Samurai. If you do this,
well, definitely. For example, let's say I have someone coming up and they're wearing a Naruto shirt. I'll pitch Turn Samurai. Let's say they're wearing a Batman shirt. I'll pitch Screecher. Stuff like that.
Or if it's more of a child coming up, then yeah, Screecher is the way to go.
Yes. Definitely. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I could probably do a whole thing on conventions, and I might at some point. But yeah. Yeah, so this was definitely a book, and I'll tell you one thing. Speaking of conventions, one thing I'm really excited for. So my next convention is going to be in February. I'm doing Great Lakes Comic Con. Guess who's going to be there?
Frank Miller?
I wish.
Kevin
Eastman.
Tom King? I'm only kidding. It's all good.
Kevin Eastman is going to be at a convention I'm going to be at. You bet your sweet ass he's signing this.
Yeah, you got to do it. And take a picture.
Oh, god dang, yes. I'm going to have him sign this. It's it's Turtles. He worked on this. This is definitely something he would sign.
I actually have an autograph by Eastman. I got this at my comic book store. This is an issue of Dark Knight Returns 3, The Master Race, signed by this is his variant cover. I'll try and get
nice. So for me, I'm going to have him sign the inside cover. And yeah, this book is used. It's worn, but I'm going to have him sign the inside cover because I feel like it'll last longer.
Yeah, always have them sign the inside cover.
Yeah, and I'll have him sign this, and he'd have no issue signing this. So it's
I don't think so. Yeah, you should be good.
Yeah, it's like the exact comics he worked on, so it's like whatever. So that'll be cool. I'm gonna have him sign this, and I will show this when it happens. But yeah, I don't know if you've oh, Jared, does it feel hot here?
I know. What's up, Jay Heat? How you doing, my brother?
The chat is heating up. We've got Jay Heat in the hizzy. Hey, Jay Heat. If you want to come in here for a few minutes and talk about what they're going to run the Turtles meant to you, let me know. I'll drop you a link. Oh, but yeah. Gosh. So yeah. I always love the Turtles. If you look at some early early stuff from when I was a kid, I dressed as Turtles for Halloween. I played with Turtles as a kid. I played the video games.
Yeah,
I discovered Power Rangers.
I played the TMNT game that they actually had for the movie. That's the only game I've ever 100%ed. I replayed that on a loop. I had the action figures, and I was a disciple of the 2003 animated cartoon.
Yeah, 2003 definitely has a lot of fans. I've seen a couple episodes. I thought they were pretty good. Never got too into it because I was kind of getting older at that time. But it definitely looks quality, I would say. But yeah, for me, I always loved TMNT Fall of the Foot Clan for the Game Boy. I always enjoyed that one. Also,
Is there a game
TMNT
girl? I always wondered that. I'm only kidding. Yeah, exactly.
maybe like a knockoff or something. All right, Jay Heat. Check your I'm gonna send it to you. Check your Twitter DMs here in a second. All right. Check your DMs, sir. All right. So we may be heating things up here in a second, Jared.
Hell yeah. What's up, dude?
All right. But yeah. I think the reason why Turtles has lasted so long is it has always kind of reinvented itself, updated, but never lost kind of what made it good, if you think about it.
Yeah, I would say so.
Like, for me, Turtles is a masterclass in brand management. I would say that. Like, a lot of companies could actually use to study this.
Yeah, exactly. Because they even when in the documentary talked about the action figures, which really made TMNT like explode in popularity. Like that
The cartoon,
the movie and the cartoon was like really what solidified Turtles.
So Jared, it's burning up. We got Jay Heat.
Hey!
How's everybody doing tonight?
How you doing, buddy? So we're talking about the original run of TMNT by Kevin and Eastman Laird. What are your thoughts on this book, sir?
Solid run. 8 out of 10. Masterpiece still lives up well to this day.
Ooh, we have breaking news.
What is it?
Chris Evans is returning in Avengers Doomsday.
Nice.
Watch, it says Johnny Storm.
Let me see, because it doesn't say. The exact extent of his role is unknown.
I swear, if that actually becomes true, I'm gonna be like, oh my god.
Well, please come back as Cap. Or wait. If it's maybe in the Doom world, he becomes Hydra Cap. Jay Heat, that's just for you.
So, Jay Heat, what's your history with the Turtles? What are some of your other favorite parts of it?
For me, some of my favorite stuff is TMNT 07, the TMNT movie in 07, excuse me.
Heck yeah.
TMNT 2003, that's a solid series. Though, it's always kind of been hit or miss with TMNT. 2012, I get what they were trying to do, but it just kind of fell off at one point. But I guess that's just me getting older, so.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, Jay Heat, if you had to give a rating to the original 1 through 7 comics, what would you give it?
8 out of 10.
Okay. Fair enough. So, you did kind of catch us at the tail end of the stream, but since you're kind enough to donate your time and kind of come on, we're gonna go around and kind of talk about what we got going forward. So, Jay Heat as the guest on the stream, and as always, beauty before age, and that means Jay Heat before Jared. Jay Heat, what you got going on? Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at Jay Heat Blaze or Jay Heat 75 on Twitter X. I mostly do a lot of video, commentary, games, news, comics, just about everything in between. We did have a collab between me and Jared, but we'll pass that out privately. But all in all, just feel free to subscribe to the channel, and thanks for coming out. Happy to be here.
Thank you. All right, old man. What do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Pot calling the kettle black. So I just released the episode 70 of Super Wonder Legacy, where Britt and I talk about adapting a classic Wonder Woman story. And on Wednesday, I'm going to be releasing a video where I talk about how I would write Superman. Watch out, Lois Lane. And on Thursday is going to be a really busy day because I have the gaming stream, Under Two Capes, and then my members only live stream. And then Saturday, we're going to be doing Sky High because it's the old man's birthday. And yeah, that's. Oh, and by the way, so for Saturday, Britt and I are going to be doing another live couples comparison. We're going to be talking about Scott Summers and Emma Frost.
You've been waiting for that one.
The good Marvel couple. Suck it, Jean Grey, you suck! How about you stay alive for 5 minutes?
We got you for 5 minutes. You better not die in those 5. Okay.
And she's dead.
All right. So tomorrow, I will be playing Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League under great duress. I lost
You'll
a bet with Jared,
co-op
and
with me.
I lost a bet, and I'm a man of my word, so I will honor it. Playing that, we'll see how it is. Friday, we'll be talking about Christmas memories. Saturday, I'm kind of up on the air right now, but I'll either be playing Zelda Breath of the Wild or I'll be taking a break. But thank you everyone for joining us, and let us know what you think about Turtles and the Turtles run in down below. Please give us a like, subscribe if you haven't to. Thank you, Jay Heat, for making a surprise appearance. It's actually your first time on Comix Watch, I believe. So
happy to be here all the same.
Yes, sir. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And remember, I can only show you the door. You're the one to walk through it.
Not first sucks!